Hey, KCRT, are we ready to go when the time comes?
Here, KCRT is here.
All right.
Natasha?
Hi, Richard, that's me.
Yes, on webinars, we can't bring a phone number in. All we can do is leave the phone on, mic on in the attendees.
Hey, Richard, this is
Okay,
Bruce. I'm sorry. Shasta, Councilmember Willis needs the link for the meeting, for the open session.
okay, KCRT should provide that. I can get on. I'm in the parking lot right now. Brian, can you please, or Richard, can you please make sure all the council members have the correct link?
No problem.
I'm in.
JC, are you there?
Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum if you want to get this started.
I'm ready.
Okay, welcome everyone to a special meeting of the Richmond City Council. Actually, let me see, it's not the council, it's the Richmond Housing Authority. We're starting with that. So welcome everyone to a special meeting of the Richmond Housing Authority. Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bates. Commissioner Bates. Okay. Commissioner Jimenez.
Presente.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Vice Chair Martinez,
Here.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Here.
Commissioner Willis,
Here.
and Chair Butt.
Here. Would you play the instructional video, please?
You forgot me again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ah,
Commissioner Scott,
Yes, I'm present.
sorry. Thank you.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted via Zoom pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Urgency Measure Assembly Bill 361, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. The mayor will call upon council members, staff, and other guest speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Council members, staff, and guest speakers participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Community members participating via Zoom wishing to speak should use the raised hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the mayor or city clerk will call upon them at the appropriate time. Community members will have up to 2 minutes to speak, 3 minutes for public hearings. After the speaker's time expires, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Community members participating via phone will be called upon to speak by the last 4 digits of their phone number. Public input and participation are of the utmost importance to the City of Richmond City Council. Therefore, it is important for public speakers to be ready to address the council when called upon. Public speakers are requested to state their names and city of residence, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received before and during the meeting in accordance with the COVID-19 public comment guidelines printed on the meeting agenda will be entered into the record and published at the clerk's office webpage. If authors of written correspondence would also like to speak on the item, they should raise their hand when prompted by the mayor, and the city clerk will call upon them at the appropriate time. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. The meeting can be seen on KCRT's TV channel and is being streamed on Zoom, YouTube, and KCRT.com. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the City of Richmond City Council.
Debido a COVID-19, esta reunión se llevará a cabo a través de Zoom en conformidad con las provisiones de la medida de urgencia del gobernador de la Ley de la Asamblea 361, que suspende ciertos requisitos de la Ley Brown. El alcalde llamará a los concejales, a los empleados de la ciudad y a otros invitados a hablar por nombre. Por favor, hable claramente y diga su nombre antes de dar su comentario. Se recuerda a los concejales, empleados de la ciudad y otros invitados participando a través de Zoom con sus cámaras encendidas que sus actividades son visibles al público. Miembros de la comunidad participando a través de Zoom que deseen hablar deberían de usar la función levantar la mano, en inglés raise hand, o marcar *9 si están participando por teléfono. El alcalde y la secretaria municipal llamarán a los oradores en el momento apropiado. Miembros de la comunidad tendrán hasta 2 minutos para hablar y 3 minutos para temas de audiencias públicas. Después de que se expire el tiempo de orador, se le bajará la mano y el micrófono será silenciado. Miembros de la comunidad participando por teléfono serán llamados para su turno usando los últimos 4 dígitos de su número de teléfono. Los comentarios y la participación del público son de suma importancia para el Consejo Municipal. Por lo tanto, es importante que los oradores públicos estén listos para dar sus comentarios al Consejo Municipal cuando sean llamados. Se pide que los oradores públicos indiquen sus nombres y ciudad de residencia, pero proveer dicha información es voluntario. Comentarios escritos recibidos antes y durante la reunión, de acuerdo con las reglas designadas para comentario público durante el COVID-19, imprimidos en la agenda de la reunión, serán ingresados en el registro y se publicarán en la página web de la Secretaría Municipal. Si los autores de la correspondencia escrita también desean hablar sobre el tema, deberían levantar la mano cuando sea pedido por el alcalde, y la secretaria municipal los llamará en el momento apropiado. Se realizará una votación nominal para todos los puntos de acción. La reunión se podrá ver en el canal de televisión de KCRT y también se transmitirá en Zoom, YouTube y kcrt.com. Gracias por participar en una reunión de Consejo Municipal de la ciudad de Richmond.
The next item is statement of conflict of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest? Hearing none, agenda review, we only have one item. It's on the consent calendar. Anybody want to remove it from the consent calendar? Okay, I think one thing we need to do is ask for public comment on the consent calendar. So are there any members of the public that would like to comment on the Housing Authority consent calendar?
We have two hands raised. Well, we have one hand raised.
Why don't you make sure they're in the right meeting?
Okay, Gonzalo. This meeting is the Richmond Housing Authority. We are on the consent calendar in item F1. And the item is to continue use of teleconferencing technology for meetings of the boards of commissions of the Richmond Housing Authority. If you are want to speak on that item, we can call you now to address the council. Otherwise, please lower your hand. Okay, Ursula, go ahead and call.
Gonzalo, please unmute yourself and you may begin. Gonzalo, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
This is, I'm sorry, this is not the item that I'm just trying to comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public speakers? In that case, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move the item.
Second.
A motion by McLaughlin, second by Johnson. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bates,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yeah.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Martinez,
Yes.
Lieutenant Commissioner Scott, Lieutenant Commissioner Scott, your vote? Okay, we'll go to Chair Butt.
Yes.
Lieutenant Commissioner Scott, how are you voting on the consent calendar?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The vote is unanimous.
Okay, thank you. The Housing Authority meeting is now adjourned and we are moving to the special meeting of the Richmond City Council. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Bates,
Present.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Presente.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Here.
Councilmember Willis,
Here.
and Mayor Butt.
Yes, here. We're now to agenda review. We have 3 items on the consent calendar. Does anybody want to remove any one of them?
Mayor, skip statement of conflict of interest.
I'm sorry. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Okay, now moving to agenda review. Does anybody want to move anything from the consent calendar? Do you have any members of the public have asked to remove anything from the consent calendar, Madam Clerk?
No, I do not.
Okay, I would then be looking for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'd move the item.
Second.
Okay, motion by Martinez, second by McLaughlin. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Butt.
Yes.
Vote is unanimous.
So the special city council meeting is now adjourned and we're moving to the open session to hear public comment before the closed session. Do you have any speakers, Madam Clerk?
Yes, we do. I'll read the item into the record. During closed session, the council will discuss the following item: conference with labor negotiators, agency representatives, Jacqueline Gross and Sharon Taylor, employee organizations, SEIU Local 1021 full-time and part-time unit, IFPTE Local 21 mid-level management and executive management units, Richmond Police Officers Association, Richmond Police Management Association, IAFF Local 188, and Richmond Fire Management Association. And we do have speakers.
We currently have 6 speakers, 7 hands raised actually at this moment. And those speakers are Jan Mignoni, Koa, Steve Bischoff, Oscar Garcia, Donovan Decius, Peggy Chow, Gonzalo. Please be prepared to unmute yourself when your name is called. Jan Mignoni, you may begin.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm just here to ask you to please somewhat approve some of the police contract. We can't hire people if we don't have a police contract. That's just not going to happen. And if you're going to spend money to have a consultant help you hire, please have a contract in order, at least part of the contract, at least have for the officers to have a contract. Whether you know it or not, many of the citizens in Richmond do care about the police being here and really want the police to be here. And we need the police with all the issues that go on in the city that are unattended to because there is not enough police to do it. So please go ahead. As long with the fire also, we need to have contracts for these people. They cannot work without a contract. It just does not work. So please work very hard on this. I know it's in the middle of your vacation time, but please take care of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Koa. Koa, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. First, I'd like to thank you guys for coming together for the special meeting during your summer. My name is Kwan Nguyen, and I'm a Richmond police officer. During this afternoon's closed session, you will be discussing an upcoming contract for the Richmond POA. This is the first time in recent memory in which the POA has been out of a contract with the City of Richmond, in which the POA has been out of a contract with the City of Richmond for 2 months now. The POA is now hopeful that this afternoon's conversation will be over the city offering a fair and competitive contract for its police officers and sergeants. Our current contract with the POA is at the lower end of the compensation market. Since 2017, this has caused 42 officers to leave the Richmond Police Department and another 42 officers to retire when they could have worked longer had there been a fair and competitive contract in place. In recent months, the City of Richmond has attempted to renew their contract with the POA by offering a marginal wage increase that would have occurred over the next 3 years. This wage increase was significantly less than what the City of Richmond has already agreed to pay the other employee groups. And this wage increase that was offered didn't even meet the normal increases in inflation. So what this means is that the marginal wage increase that was offered would only continue to keep the compensation of Richmond officers and sergeants at the bottom of the market. Unless we change this, the Richmond police officers and sergeants will continue to work long and exhausting hours, 18-hour shifts. This is dangerous for the community when you have fatigued officers and sergeants working these 18-hour shifts day in and day out. For those looking to become a Richmond police officer, my advice to you is to not come and work here unless you want to work 18 hours a day, go home and sleep for another 3 to 4 hours, to only wake up and possibly be ordered to work another 18 hours again, and then be forced to come in on your days off for about 4 more times. Don't come to the Richmond Police Department unless you want to get paid less to do more work in a busier and more challenging environment. The City of Richmond does not offer the POA a fair and competitive contract. Then my suggestion to those applicants and to those that are currently working here is to go look for employment elsewhere. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Steve Bischoff. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Mayor, City Council members, I have been a resident of the May Valley area of Richmond since 1999. I'm active in the neighborhood council and so on and so forth. But last night we heard a report on the 94803 community forum kind of thing from the police chief, telling us where we are in terms of the police department. And, I think one of the things that becomes really obvious really quickly is, given the kind of strain it's under and the fact that it's losing officers, every year it loses officers, even if it can hire some, that unless we find some way to attract more people to work here, we're going to be really in trouble. I mean, I can even foresee a time when we might not have an active police department because there are not enough officers to do the job. You have to remember that Richmond is geographically a very large city. And so, what seems like enough officers sometimes, if we had the full amount, might not be. I mean, now it's not, because you got 9 beats you're trying to cover, and there are just not enough officers to really do that now. And if it gets to be less, it's just going to, at some point, go down the drain. So what I am asking you to consider is maybe even removing the items 3 and 4 from your closed session, unless you can see where those are going to result in really increased salaries for police officers and other police personnel. Because if you don't do that, then what you're going to do is just keep on going in the same direction. And I think this city council may become known as the city council that basically wrecked the police department. And I hope you're going to want to avoid that by doing something like increasing salaries for police. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Oscar Garcia. Oscar, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Appreciate you coming in for this special meeting. There's a very important topic around the renewal of the contracts for our city employees. They all deserve to have their contract. I'm especially disturbed to hear that our police officers are at sort of the lowest on the pay scale in the region compared to other police officers, especially when considering what we expect from them to work so many extra hours and to serve in a tough environment in general. I really would like for you to think about the everyday resident who depends on feeling safe when going home, when going to work, and when trying to enjoy their time here in Richmond. And please renew their contract and all of the contracts so that we can have so that we're sure that our officers will stay, and any new officers will be willing to work here in the city of Richmond. I'm disturbed to hear that also that potential applicants to the city are hesitant to apply because of this exact issue, that there isn't a contract. And so, this is an opportunity for the city council to act on its concerns with issues with recruiting officers by renewing this contract and ensuring that more officers join the department and the existing officers stay. So with that, I'll leave it at that. Thanks again, Oscar Garcia, Richmond resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Donovan Decius. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
All right, City Council, thank you very much. My name is Donovan Decius. I'm a sergeant at the Richmond Police Department. I've been sworn for over 21 years, been at this department for over 17. I'd like to speak upon item P1, which is the labor negotiations with the RPOA. In 2005, I came to this department for a couple reasons: to work with a family member, but then because it had assignments and possible movement, either lateral or vertical. Unfortunately, due to our staffing and a lot of the funding movement and anti-police sentiment in the country and the city, a lot of that movement has actually gone by the wayside. If you look at our current structure in patrol, we have mandatory overtime signups, as other officers have stated, 18-hour shifts and working 6 or 7 days a week. We have permanent vacancies on our 5-team patrol schedule, and we should have a 6. That in of itself is making officers work way too much. This isn't just healthy physically, but it's also unhealthy mentally. It hurts the officers, but more importantly, it hurts the community. How do we protect and serve if we're too tired to do so? So I say one thing: the catalyst for change ultimately is on you, the City Council's doorstep. And as Officer Nguyen Quad stated, why would officers want to work here under these circumstances? A lot of us truly still want to, but enough is absolutely enough. All we are asking for is something which is fair. And when we say fair, it's average. It is in the middle of the pack of other comparable cities. If, and I'd say if the city council does approve and offer us a fair contract, this will hopefully stop the bleeding. This cannot wait. It has to happen soon, because if it waits another 5 or 6 weeks, we will lose more officers. I thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Peggy Chow. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
My name is Peggy Chow, and I am a police officer with the Richmond.
I'm sorry, Peggy, please unmute yourself. You may begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Peggy Chow, and I'm a police officer with the Richmond Police Department. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge my gratitude for your time and the efforts that have been put forth during each stage of these collaborative negotiations. I'm calling this afternoon to again encourage your continued support and investment in the safety and success of our Richmond community by providing our current and future Richmond police officers with a valued and marketable contract. For the past 4 years, I have been heavily involved in the recruiting and hiring processes for Richmond police personnel. And as a recruiter, I love seeing the excitement from our potential applicants when I tell them about my past experiences with our community policing partnerships and how much our community has valued this diversity, partnership, and collaboration to collectively work toward our common goals for public safety. As a recruiter, I am also always so proud to see the eyes of our potential applicants light up when I speak to them about the vast opportunities like specialty assignments and leadership growth opportunities that an agency our size has to offer. However, as a recruiter, I also recognize the challenges of harnessing that excitement from potential applicants when salary and compensation numbers just don't compare. I know without a doubt that the Richmond Police Department is unique and far different than many other agencies across the Bay Area. And I also know that our current police officers are fiercely dedicated to the safety of our community. I also know that we can continue to recruit candidates of this caliber with a valued contract that is comparable to our local agencies. Please invest in our current and future police officers with a marketable contract so we can sustain a diverse and robust workforce to strengthen ties with our community, rejuvenate our once nationally recognized community policing philosophy, and ensure the continued safety and success of our Richmond community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gonzalo, followed by Timothy Simmons, Joy Massey, Savannah Stewart, Emily Ross, Eunice, and Benjamin Terrio. Gonzalo, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Oh, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for taking my call. Good afternoon, City Council members and City Mayor. My name is Gonzalo. I'm the president of the 23rd Street Merchants Association. And I just called once again to let you guys know that you guys need to do the right thing. The right thing is to renew the contract for the police officers. You guys know that we already have a lot more crime on 23rd Street. So I don't know why you guys playing this little game, or I don't know what kind of game do you guys playing just to renew that contract for the police. You guys know that we need it. We really need it is now, but you guys playing around. I don't think it's fair for the community in Richmond. It's not fair for the businesses, and it's not fair for anybody, because we live in an area that has been a lot of crimes lately, because you guys don't want to give the contract for the police, and there is a lot more that you guys know about. I'm gonna try to do it in Spanish, which is my language. So, mi nombre es Gonzalo Ochoa. Soy el presidente de la Asociación de la Calle 23. Estoy llamando para hacerles un llamado de que necesitan renovarle el contrato a la policía. Creo que sin contrato la policía no va a trabajar bien y nadie va a querer venir aquí. Nos está afectando mucho. Aquí la criminalidad está subiendo bastante. Nos está afectando aquí en la calle 23, y no nomás en la calle 23, creo que en todo Richmond. Esperemos que hagan lo correcto. Si dicen que ustedes trabajan para la ciudad, creo que darles el contrato saben que es lo mejor para la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Timothy Simmons. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Thank you for this opportunity, and I appreciate you guys getting together on your break as well, and especially on a Friday. My name is Timothy Simmons. I'm a police captain with Richmond Police Department, and I'm also the president of the Police Management Association. I'm calling to just address the issue of the RPOA labor contract, and would like to encourage you to come to an agreement to offer the RPOA a competitive contract. Police Chief French has a clear and direct vision for the police department. And we need, as a city, to be able to give her the tools in order to fulfill that vision, to address crime, to address quality of life. And the only way that's going to happen is if we're able to retain the officers that we have right now, and if we're able to recruit new, skilled, and not just any officers, but skilled officers from other organizations that might be looking to work in a diverse department that is progressive, which is the organization in which we're trying to build here in Richmond. You know, I was a lateral officer that came over to the city of Richmond from the sheriff's office over 13 years ago, when the council at the time gave then Police Chief Chris Magnus all of the resources that he needed in order to deploy his strategy and his vision, which aligned with the community, and something beautiful was built and successful was built. And RPD was renowned throughout the country for doing innovative things. And I know for certain that Chief French desires to continue that heritage and continue that history of being an impactful, effective police department. So I encourage you to give her the same tools that you guys gave Chief Magnus at the time. And that starts with giving a competitive contract so we can keep who we have and recruit others that are qualified. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Joy Massey. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good evening, Council. I'm speaking on the item related to the city's contract with Charleston Mobility for emergency bike share pilot. My name is Joy Massey. I'm one of 2 interim co-executive directors at Transform. And over the past 4 years, Transform, in partnership with MTC, with funding from the Air Resources Board, we've been working with RCF Connects and the City of Richmond staff, including Department of Transportation staff member Danae Evans, to design and deliver a mobility hub for the Nystrom community that features clean transportation options like bike share and electric vehicle car sharing. I'm speaking on this item because there is a commitment to provide these services, including bike share. And this is why I'm asking for council to really support and approve this emergency contract with Charleston Mobility. Your approval will help sustain the bike program to provide increased clean mobility options to Richmond community, as you all know, including the Nystrom community, to continue to make this community healthier and more sustainable by reducing air pollution from cars and traffic. I will say that Transform, MTC, and CARB all support kind of shared micromobility options, and we are just really encouraging Transform in particular, the approval of this bike share pilot. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Savannah Stewart. Savannah, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I would first like to thank the City Council for taking time away from your vacation to meet in regards to our contract. I understand none of you were obligated to attend this meeting, and your presence here today is not taken for granted. I've been a police officer in the city of Richmond for 12 years. Over these 12 years, I've seen officers attend community events on their time off, mentor the youth of the city on their time off, and come in to train on their days off so they could be prepared for everything they face on the streets. While on duty, I've seen officers kneel beside mothers who lost their child to senseless gun violence and pray with them. Multiple times, I've seen officers do everything in their power to apprehend someone who committed a violent felony, even though they had been working for over 24 hours straight. And despite our own fears and anxieties, I've seen officers rush into dangerous situations without hesitation to protect and keep the citizens of Richmond as safe as possible. The positive impact of everything I just described to you and what it means to our community is impossible to quantify and even put into words. I want nothing more than for this department to continue to provide the services we've been providing to the city. And in order to continue to provide these services, it is very important we receive a fair contract. If we don't, we will continue to lose officers and be unable to recruit new ones. If staffing levels continue to decrease, so will our services. This can mean a reduction in the calls for service we respond to, wait times being extended, in some cases not being investigated. As you go into closed session, I respectfully ask that you take all of this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Emily Ross. Emily, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Richmond City Council and community. My name is Emily Ross. I'm a Richmond resident. Thank you, Council, for coming together during your recess to do all the important work you have to do today. I was calling to speak on the labor negotiation item for RPOA. Hearing a lot of people talk about fairness and the need for a fair contract, and I completely agree. And I'm hearing different interpretations of what fair means. So I want us to I'm thinking about being fair to new officers. I'm thinking about being fair to RPD leadership and being fair to the community at large. So in addition to all the budgetary items, one thing is that while new officers might start at a lower rate than nearby cities, once officers stay with RPD for a while, the compensation package actually becomes quite generous. And I think one way to support newer officers is around adjusting the seniority system that's dictated by the MOU. Because what's currently in place doesn't seem comparable to what other cities do and prevents RPD command from being flexible in shift, beat, and team assignments to best meet community needs when there's seniority preferences that must be honored according to the MOU. I think the staffing shortage is important to address and the vacancies are important to address. So I definitely support prioritizing recruitment. But as far as the MOU is concerned, I think we should think about what our community needs are as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Eunice. Eunice, please state your last name for the record. Unmute yourself and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Eunice Trumbull. I'm a longtime resident of Richmond, and thank you, Mayor Butt and the council members for coming in, holding this special meeting. I just would ask that you please remember all the units that have been cut or reduced, the mandatory 18-hour shifts that are being worked, and our need to recruit officers. We do need a competitive contract to attract and retain quality officers, and to help support Chief French in her role as well. And I'm very glad that she's back. And I just want to say, Councilmember Willis, I appreciate your gesture at the last meeting, and I hope that the community will be heard. And I just want to say thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Benjamin Terrio. Ben, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good afternoon, City Council. Ben Terrio, President of the Richmond Police Officers Association. Like everyone else, I want to thank you very much for coming on your month off, which I know is a very cherished time in Richmond City government. Thank you for coming for this special session. This is a very critical point in our labor negotiations, and I think it's important to speak on facts and understand what is at stake. We have 145 authorized full-time positions. We have 32 vacancies. We have 7 people out on injury, 4 people on light duty injury, 3 people out on long-term sick, and only 2 people in the academy. That leaves us with 97 sworn personnel currently in full service for full duty. I currently know of, because there could be more, 4 confirmed officers in backgrounds to leave and go to other police agencies. That means that without the 4, there is currently a 33% vacancy rate in the Richmond Police Department. Now, some have put this on a national issue. It's true, but it's not just a national issue. It's a local issue as well. And there are local issues that need to be dealt with. For example, Antioch has a vacancy rate of only 11%, and then they're in the news every day about not being able to staff their police department as well. And that's only at 11%. San Francisco, Oakland, Concord, Berkeley have all taken the appropriate measures to make progress on this. We have offered up revenue sharing. We have offered up our Me Too contract. It is sad to hear the union bashing, people talking in generalities, not understanding seniority, especially from a steering committee member of the Richmond Progressive Alliance, who at least would hope would take the time to reach out to other union people to understand what that really means in the MOU. The information being provided to you in the past, today, and going forward arms you with choices. Please make the right choices to give Richmond the community policing service it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was our last speaker. You're muted, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Okay, with that, I see on the agenda a roll call before we go to closed session. Is that something we need to do, or is that just a mistake?
On the agenda no. For the closed session agenda. So we've had the public comment and then we adjourn the closed session.
Okay, well, on my agenda, it says roll call item O, but that's okay. I don't think we need.
Okay, well, we're at the bottom of the agenda right now.
Yeah. Okay, so we are now adjourned to closed session.
Thank you.
to open session.
Okay, so I'm going back to open session. Is this,
They're coming back to open session.
Thank you.
unmute. Video.
Okay, we're back in open session for one purpose, and that is for the city attorney to report out any decisions made in closed session. So I don't see him here yet, but I assume he'll be with us shortly. There he is. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, go ahead and report out. You're muted, Dave.
Thank you. So we had closed session, discuss our labor negotiations with our bargaining units, with all four units. And direction was given for further negotiations. The representatives were given direction as to bargaining positions, and there was no other reportable action taken.
Okay, thank you. We will now all go back on vacation. See you in September.
Our public meeting.
Say again?
Aren't there some items on the public meeting agenda?
No, we finished it.
We did that first, Dave.
The bike report, all that?
Yeah, we did the consent calendar real quick.
Oh, they were all on the consent calendar. Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. Have fun, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Night,
If I might, I'd like to close this meeting in memory of Carmen Ramirez, who was the first Latina supervisor for Ventura County. She was also the mayor of Oxnard. She was hit by a car last Friday.